All right, fans of political discourse, welcome back. I'm Dave, and we're talking Tulsi Gabbard today. Mint Press News has a really interesting article. CNN foreign policy gatekeepers vilify Tulsi Gabbard for her anti-interventionist dissent. The establishment news media is largely uninterested in listening to Gabbard attempt to persuade voters that the U.S. should quit waging wars to overthrow governments. They go on to cite her appearance at the CNN town hall back on March 10th, where Tulsi contended, "We are in a situation today where we, here in the United States and the world, are at a greater risk of nuclear catastrophe than ever before." Now, this relates to what's been going on with Russiagate, okay, and the fact that she's the only person really to stand up and say the Russiagate hoax has provoked or heightened this idea of a new Cold War, which, you know, the Democrats in the old days were for peace, peace with Russia. Now they seem to want to not have peace with Russia. So they go on to say, yet the establishment news media largely is uninterested. They don't want to listen to Gabbard attempt to persuade voters. Of course, she's an Iraq War veteran. This is a good article. Tulsi comes from a place that in our politics that's found on both the left and the right, which believes that sovereign nations should have power over their own territory. Wow, what a novel concept. And people wonder why yours truly has decided to come on over and check out the Tulsi Gabbard campaign. But it's really criminal what these people do. Let's see if this will play here.
Analyst and columnist for the Washington Post, Josh Rogan, here with us now. You've written a lot about this, Josh. What do you... So she says if there's evidence, he should be prosecuted. Well, there is evidence.
There's a ton of evidence, overwhelming evidence.
And of course, they're talking about Assad and how there's overwhelming evidence that he needs to be prosecuted. Where I've checked out various news articles, there's actually not overwhelming evidence that this guy supposedly gassed his own people, which Tulsi mentions that, yeah, he probably used chemical weapons before, but not the time that we decided we were going to go full in and, lob those missiles on Syria, which we did. And the media was all giddy with excitement. That was like Donald Trump's greatest presidential moment thus far.
I mean, not just of chemical weapons attacks, but mass torture, mass starvation, mass murder in Assad's prisons, over 8 years, ongoing today, 55,000 pictures brought out of Syria by a defector known as Caesar. They're on display at the Holocaust Museum. Just go there or go to the website, you'll see them. These atrocities were described by Stephen Rapp, the former war crimes ambassador for the State Department, as the worst systematic machinery of death since the Nazis, okay?
All right, so think of this now, all right? There are countries all over the world, and again, I'm not apologizing for Assad, but there are countries all over the world, okay, that commit horrible atrocities on their own people. Why do we pick certain ones to get involved with? Just curious, which ones are the ones we need to get involved with? It seems like the ones we get involved with all have to do with oil, okay, and they tend to be countries that are propped up by other countries that we want to have proxy wars with, like Russia. Okay, we're doing the same thing in Venezuela. And all Tulsi Gabbard is saying is that we shouldn't be involved with endless regime change wars. We pick a war and then we don't leave that war. We just stay with it. And here's what the article says, Gabbard never denied evidence of atrocities committed by Assad. She made a calculated and restrained statement. If there is evidence that he has committed war crimes, he should be prosecuted as such. And if the evidence is there, there should be accountability. In fact, before that, Gabbard said, there have been reports showing chemical weapons that have been used in Syria, both by the Syrian government as well as different terrorist groups on the ground in Syria. And who's been arming some of those different terrorist groups on the ground in Syria? The United States. So, again, Tulsi Gabbard and her message has been needed since Eisenhower said there's a military-industrial complex and be aware of it. Be afraid of it. And since that time, the United States has decided that its involvement in the world is designed it's like that whole manifest destiny, Monroe Doctrine. We're smarter, we're better, we can fix all of the world's problems. We know which dictators to install and which dictators to remove. No wonder we're $22 trillion in debt. Tulsi Gabbard is the only candidate in this race that is focused in our economic security. Think about it. There are no other candidates that care about our economic security like Tulsi Gabbard. She's also concerned about the welfare of soldiers we send into these death trap wars, because they are. These people are not attacking the United States of America. I am all for protecting the homeland if that is what we need to do. But these involvements, they never end. They're open-ended. We've got one declaration of war from, 2004 that covers supposedly all of these involvements, because guess who's on the ground in Syria? ISIS, or groups that are affiliated with ISIS. You know, it's hard to actually keep a scorecard knowing who is who in Syria. So from a pragmatic standpoint, wouldn't you just stay away? Why would you get involved in that if you couldn't discern who the enemy is? Okay, and Tulsi Gabbard, very smart on this. The article goes on, and this is a pretty good read. I mean, it goes on for a long time. It said, media outlets would rush to splash the following headline all over the internet. Tulsi Gabbard, who met with Assad, concedes he is a war criminal. And her answer would be wielded to further discredit her voice. So why should Tulsi Gabbard indulge in this game of labels played by media gatekeepers trying to enforce limits on U.S. foreign policy discussions? It's the same reason when somebody asked her, are you a progressive? Are you this? Are you that? And she said, no, I don't like labels, because labels tend to put people in categories, and people then have preconceived notions about your ideas, that you have to be in lockstep with them on every issue. I've seen it both on the left and the right, by the way. Recently, I've watched a few lefties who are wondering, are you lefty enough on this particular issue to be us? And I don't know. I look at Tulsi Gabbard as the perfect mix of common sense and what we need now, rather than the same old establishment bullcrap, which we get every time we elect somebody. As a former Donald Trump supporter and a guy who voted for Trump, I never expected that he was going to put Mike Pompeo and John Bolton in charge of our foreign policy. Just incredible. I know, he had Rex Tillerson, the oil guy, and I was shaking my head when I heard that. I said to myself, boy, that's going to reek of all kinds of impropriety. Just the announcement, just the fact of who he is. Rex Tillerson, you know? And it hasn't gotten better. It's actually gotten worse. So anyway, I think it's interesting. This article is up on Mint Press. They're basically kind of rehashing this CNN town hall appearance, and then the CNN analysis, which of course paints Tulsi Gabbard as being foolish because she doesn't listen to intelligence. And why? Why should we just take what the intelligence says on face value when our government is all about doing things that aren't in the best interests of the citizens of this country? And when we send the CIA over there to do bad things, and then we don't talk about those bad things, we just pretend that that's what the CIA does, and, you know, it'll be great because, you know, we're trusting in the CIA. Okay. I don't trust any of it. And, by the way, questioning your government is patriotic. It is. And right now, I think, of all the patriots in the presidential race, Tulsi Gabbard is at the top of the list. So there. All right, so I'm done with this video. Again, Tulsi Gabbard, the only candidate in this race that is willing to call out the military-industrial complex, which today is kind of tied right into the media-industrial complex in this country. Really pathetic. See you soon.